and go. Dominaria. Spoiler hype. Video number 8. Well, I've almost got caught up in uploading all my videos. So pretty soon all of these videos will be out and you'll all be able to see the latest in the spoilers. So let's scroll down and jump right into this. Okay. So I left off with Dragon Whelp and Plaza of Heroes. So let's jump in, and the next one up is Monstrous Warleech. For 1 black and 3, you get a star leech horror with a kicker of 1 blue. As Monstrous Warleech enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, mill 4 cards. Monstrous Warleech's power and toughness are each equal to the highest mana value among cards in your graveyard. So that can be useful. Next up is Rona's Vortex. 1 blue mana with a kicker of 1 black and 2 colorless. Return target creature or planeswalker you don't control to its owner's hand. If this spell was kicked, put that permanent on the bottom of its owner's library instead. That sounds fun. A little bounce spell, and if you spin the kicker, you put it on the bottom of their library. Definitely a blue nope spell. Okay, next up is Hero's Heirloom. 2 colorless for an artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +2/+1. As long as the equipped creature is legendary, it has trample and haste. Equipped for 2. Well, remember that legendary creature that makes things equipped for 1? Yet another thing for him. Hoo-ha! Okay, next up is Cult Conscript. 1 black mana for a 2/1 skeleton warrior. Cult Conscript enters the battlefield tapped. But for 1 black and 1, return Cult Conscript from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only if a non-skeleton creature dies under your control this turn. So it gets a skeleton that kind of comes back as long as you have non-skeletons that die. Okay, next up is Bortuk Bone Rattle. 1 black, 1 green, and 4 colorless for a 4/4 legendary troll shaman with domain that says when Bortuk Bone Rattle enters the battlefield, if you cast it, choose target creature card in your graveyard. Return that card to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So, return. You can get a card back from the graveyard, and if you have lots of lands that are different colors, you can put it out on the battlefield. Assuming that it's that its mana value is less than the amount of different colored lands you have. Next up is the what would be the white version of these Phyrexian paying cards in Defiler of Faith. 2 white and 3 for a 5/5 Phyrexian human with vigilance. That in itself is value, but it's also got as an additional cost to cast white permanent spells. You may pay 2 life. These spells cost 1 white less to cast. If you pay life in this way, this effect only reduces the amount of white mana you pay. And whenever you cast a white permanent spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Yahoo! There's some more value. Next up is something we haven't seen really before, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Phoenix Chick. 1 red mana for a 1/1 flying haste. Phoenix Chick can't block. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay 2 red mana. If you do, return Phoenix Chick from the graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking with a +1/+1 counter on it. Well, that's fun. Next up is Inscribed Tablet. 1 colorless mana for an artifact that says 1 mana, tap it, sacrifice Inscribed Tablet, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land card from among them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card from into your hand on this way, you may draw a card. That's cool. Either you get a land or you get a card. You get something. It's not, if you get the shuffler is broken and you have no lands in the top 5 cards of your library, you still get to draw a card. I consider that a win. Next up looks like another Japanese language card, so I'm going to have to get the translation here. This is Founding the Third Path. It's a 1 blue, 1 colorless for a saga that reads, read ahead. Again, this is one of those you can choose the chapter and start with that many lore counters. Add 1 after your draw step. Skip chapters, don't trigger sacrifice after, in this case, Chapter 3. Chapter 1, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand without paying its mana cost. Hoo-ha! That's another Mark Rosewater spoiler thing. So that's where that's at. Hoo-ha! Chapter 2, target player mills 4 cards. Well, it's a blue card. And Chapter 3 reads, exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Copy it. You may cast a copy. Yet another part of the Mark Rosewater spoilers. So, hoo-ha! This sounds like, excuse me, a very interesting. I think this card is going to see a lot of play, and it's gonna annoy the crap out of a lot of people. Yes, and more yes. So back to the next one. Okay, we have Coalition Sky Knight. For 1 white and 3 colors, you get a 2/2 flying with enlist. Sounds kind of bunky to me, but that enlist mechanic it can you can do stuff with it. Next up is Citizen's Arrest. 2 white, 1 colorless for an enchantment that reads: when Citizen Arrest enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Citizen's Arrest leaves the battlefield. Okay, so it's not just it's not just your um banishing slash or whatnot. You can exile a planeswalker too. So there's some there's some fun. There's some value. Next up, Pilfer. 1 black and 1 for a sorcery that reads: target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Because black makes you discard. Next up is Walking Bulwark. 1 colorless mana for an artifact creature golem, 0/3 Defender. That has 2 colorless mana until end of turn. Target creature with Defender gains haste and can attack as though it didn't have Defender, and assigns its combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Activate only as a sorcery. Well, I know decks that are based like that. Arcady Sabath, hello. Okay, we have next up Zar Ojanin, Sign of Ephrava. 1 green, 1 white, 3 colorless for a 4/4 with domain that says whenever Zar Ojanin, Sign of Ephrava becomes tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with toughness less than the number of basic land types among lands you control. There you go. Another domain creature. And he's a 4/4 legendary cat warrior. And the card is in German, so I don't read German very well. Next up is Temporary Lockdown. Uh-oh. This sounds like a part of a lockdown deck. Let's read on. Temporary Lockdown is 2 white and 1 for an enchantment that says when Temporary Lockdown enters the battlefield, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until Temporary Lockdown leaves the battlefield. Oh no! Oh look! Your white weenie deck is all locked down and it's all exiled. That's not fun. Okay, next up, Fires of Victory. 1 white, 1 red, and 1 colorless for an instant with kicker, 1 blue and 2 colorless. It says if this spell was kicked, draw a card. Fires of Victory deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your hand. Okay, that sounds interesting. Next up is Twinferno. I don't know if this is a reprint. It sounds like one. Sounds familiar to me. So it's 1 red and 1 for an instant that says choose one. Either when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Or target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, next up we have Coral Colony, which looks like yet another defender. One blue and one for a 1/4 creature wall with defender. It says one blue and one. Tap target player mills X cards where X is the number of creatures you control with defender. Oh dear! I, I can see a nasty deck starting to emerge because the next one card is Blight Pile. One black and one for a 3/3 creature Phyrexian with defender that has one black and two colorless. Each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of creatures you with defender you control. This is starting. This is starting to look really a really nasty defender deck. We got 3 defender cards, and they all look like they work together in unison, and none of them are good. Okay, next up, Joint Exploration. One blue and one for an instant with kicker 1 green. Scry 2, then draw a card. If this spell was kicked, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Well, I'm gonna hurry up and finish 2 more off because I want to end on a good thing. So Argivian Cavalier, 1 white, 2 colorless for a 2/2 Orc Knight within list. When Argivian Cavalier enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And finally, Weatherlight completed. Oh no. 2 colorless mana for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. As long as Weatherlight completed has 4 or more Phyresis counters on it, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a Phyresis counter on Weatherlight completed, then draw a card. If it has 7 or more Phyresis counter, then draw a card if it has 7 or more Phyresis counters on it. If it doesn't, scry 1. Yikes. Well, I'm at 18 minutes and I've got to end the video. So we're going to say we'll see you on the next video.